out your ass. I'm the antonym of the internet, still cleaning up the viruses that you had left. I think I've fallen in love again. Don't stop until you hear the I'm the antonym of the internet, been fighting on new grounds over if my love is valid. Fuck this cynicism, let the colors fly. Don't care, you think it's cringe because it's not your life. She said, do you like waffles? I said, hell yeah. Been watching Equals 3 until 2 a.m. I ain't got no iPhone, but I got a DS with a keychain, a pinky. Her cupcakes are the best. I've been failing my classes cause I don't give a damn. They say the world is my oyster, but the free market's a scam. Everything's been changing since last generation was born, and they won't try to take and change. Use a two-edged sword. I'm the antonym of the internet, still cleaning up the viruses that you had left. I think I've fallen in love again. Don't stop until you I'm the antonym of the internet, been fighting on new grounds over if my love is valid. Fuck this cynicism, let the colors fly. Don't care, you think it's cringe because it's not your life. It's never too late to fall in love with the world. Your past is not today, so say your stride with a twirl. Yeah, we've all made mistakes before, that's a fact of life. But once you restate your heart, you'll be just fine. Now with your life, you say it's all mine, all mine. Revel in your friends and hobbies, let your heart speak. When a drifter says some shit, just block that internet free. I'm the antonym of the internet, still cleaning up the viruses that you had left. I think I'm falling in love again. Don't stop until you I'm the antonym of the internet, been fighting on new grounds over if my love is valid. Fuck this cynicism, let the colors fly. Don't care, you think it's cringe because it's not your life.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Hey, Dawnseeker, I really enjoyed the music you sent, actually. The, from last week. I forgot to mention on Monday. It was the, which one's? The, Will Stetson. Particularly Live in Life and Writing on the Wall. Those are really good. Thanks for the recommendations. Alright. So, we have finished with this area of this world. So, we're going to head over to those big old gates and walk to the next part of this game. You know, I feel like Avowed has been... Yeah, I love those. Yeah, they're good. I really liked Live in Life and Writing on the Wall. Like, those two... The other ones were alright. Live in Life and Writing on the Wall, though, were just amazing. Okay, what are you doing here? Yep. But yeah, I've been working on the Dragonheart review. It might end up being 30 minutes long, which is a lot for me. I was watching the making of thing, so I might have some clips for that from the DVD release. And yeah. There is so much drama behind the Dragonheart movie. Please check that video out when it comes out. I'm gonna try and finish up everything, get it released. Hopefully this like coming Monday or Sunday, like depending on what day I actually get the video out. But I've been working on this one for a while, and there is just so much drama behind the director and the original creator, was it Peter Johnson and Cohen? I forget what the first name is. The director's last name was Cohen, though. He is kind of an asshole, and it was fun. Also, studio meddling, because of course there's studio meddling. I do try to be balanced, though. Some of the changes that the director did make were as a result of just limitations. They went over budget like 3 times. So, anyway, I still would have interfered. Anyway, so that review is actually looking pretty good. That music of yours is starting to grow on me. It's surprising that I was shying away from pop. This music seems to be in character for me. Oh well. Yes, Nerd Dragon, be converted. That Assembly did the same thing with me. Man.
I fight for my home because I cherish it, you shit-eating worm.
Oh wow, Kiata's going crazy.
Then I hope you enjoy it.
Also, Magic the Gathering is returning to Tarkir, which, if you don't know Magic Gathering, Tarkir is Dragons the Dragon set. Also time travel, because reasons. Living life gives you a new perspective on death. Wall describes the perfectionist mindset Kava has, but perfectionists in general can relate to it. Yeah. I've never really been perfectionist, I would say, but I have had the thing of maybe I shouldn't release this, it's not good enough. But I've never really been a perfectionist, which means I can't really relate to it, but I do really like the lyrics, and I think it does a good job describing the mindset. Always more of a dubstep guy or Linkin Park. I liked Linkin Park. I had my, you know, I had an edgy teenage phase, which surprised literally no one who knows me at any level. If Heelgard cannot maintain a grip Gods. Funk ain't bad.
You see, the steel garrote answer to the burn.
Yes, you answered to your god. Right. We know.
And we will break from
Yes, you answered your god, your flaming-eyed, you know,
and while he
commander is gonna burn me alive, blah, blah, blah.
soldiers will chase their own tails. Inquisitor Ludwig sees
Okay.
she wants to
So,
potential.
we're gonna have to, the final decision is probably gonna be either siding with them or siding with our god, or siding with the Animancers or something. Probably gonna be like a multi-choice decision on like what to do once we get to the garden. I do wonder what the corrupting stuff is, though, because like we've talked with our god before, and she still can't really tell us what it is that's, you know, corrupting the area around.
It won't end.
Although maybe it is our god, and it's just a different aspect of them. Lodwin the Steel Garrote making a grave error.
Feel free to prove us
Also,
wrong.
this edgy phase.
Steel garrote love the challenge.
That is literally.
Before I let you go, little bird sang in my ear that you're going to Shatterscarp. Word travels fast.
Wait, this edgy phase does not surprise me at all. In your case, for some reason, maybe again, great minds think alike.
Away.
Something that is literally everything.
I took the liberty of removing them.
Yeah, everything is like bad in excess, you know. How do you? All right, the Steel Garrote have gone too far again.
That's a matter of perspective. Ludwig is keeping her dark impulse.
Yeah, your forces kind of got wrecked because I destroyed your little outpost in the caves.
Arrive in Shatterscarp, give this letter to Temerity. Compliment. No need to keep you on your...
I love life takes it various scenarios of death and gives another perspective on them, particularly the first scenario. Mm-hmm. It's good. Tell Ludwig I got my eyes on her.
Be seeing you.
You've seen what happens
Ugh.
when you don't mess with Emerald Stair. I suggest
Man.
you remember it.
Trust me.
Oh, also, one of the things I will probably eventually be talking about is Blue Exorcist. Because we finally got to the Blue Knight. I recently got caught up on the anime, which is following the Blue Knight. It's one of the few anime, the anime only got me to read the manga. I've also recently come to the conclusion that the writer of the manga likely had a hand in the anime only ending, which is really interesting. Either that or she took inspiration from it.
Came to Emerald Stair looking for answers.
So I am kind of interested to see about that.
How do we fight the dreams?
Blue Exorcist is weird, though, because it's an anime I like.
Where's the guard?
And I think has really good characters, and I would totally recommend the manga.
Attacked my
How's Sympho gear going? Not. I have not gotten a chance to watch it. I caught up on Blue Exorcist because I remembered it came out, and I wanted to see the new few episodes. That's basically the only thing I think I've watched lately. I still need to get caught up on Solo Leveling and a bunch of other new stuff. Plus, oh god, I need to get my next I need to get all my thoughts on my the last Imperium book, or the third Imperium book before
Right of the dead to judge the living.
the other thing comes out. Plus, gods, we got that Looney Tunes movie on Friday. Frick.
Doesn't mean we're safe. The steel garrote are hunting anyone
Oh
who
man,
doesn't conform to
I've
their
got so much to do.
living lands. Our
I'm gonna be
freedom
finishing recording
So on
the
top of rotting your fields,
I haven't gotten a chance to watch more Symphony of Gear. It's on my list, and it's on my list soon, because I do kind of want to see if I know enough. It's not something I've seen a lot of people talking about, so I might do a video on it. I don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure I have enough to say about it.
Thirdborn's a rugged.
I do like it. I think it's interesting. I mean, anything that references Odin's spears. One of those times you wish for more than 24 hours in the game. One of those times, I wish for more than 24 hours a day regularly. Gods, if I could, like, eliminate my human need for sleep, I could get so much more done.
Like living under the
Just adding, like, another 6 hours, 6 or 7 hours in my day would be so much.
something's amiss.
Hell, even just, like, an extra, like, 2 or 3 hours would be enough for me.
People wandering into the desert.
There's just never enough time in the day.
Coming back.
Change?
Their bodies, some confused and disordered,
Okay.
like Belena, others violent. At least that tells us we're on the right track.
Alright, well, so the Dream Scourge is definitely coming from the desert. That is called retirement. Yes, it is indeed. Alright, with any luck, we'll find a way to the garden.
Everything we learned in Nakutadak points us to the garden.
I do like Avowed, though. I think it's a generally good game, but I also feel like it has a lot of secondary systems. In my review, I'm definitely going to talk about that. The stealth system feels like it's here just because it has to be.
Find the dream.
And there's a bunch of other things. Not needing sleep would be OP, especially since there have been plenty of other benefits. Yeah. Don't tell a genie that, though. You know that they're just gonna snap their fingers and let you die. Time is money, and the reverse. Money is time.
No mystery.
Yeah, but you can buy. You can generally passively create money, or set up things so that you don't need to be actively involved in the creation of money. Time is something that's hard to arrange for more of.
When I think of that,
The limit on it is much lower.
whatever Sapadal tells us will be filtered through a lot of metaphysical noise.
Even if you have enough money to live as best life you possibly can, you still have to sleep, for example. You can't buy that time back. It's not a direct translation. We are dragons. We are pretty reach.
Sapadal? It's Giata.
We're dragons. We get grumpy when we don't get our sleep. we spend literal decades curled up on our treasures, hoarding. Rich, I mean. Yeah, and we sleep even more as a result.
A voice
Ye waters,
the garden stifles the notes
we cannot read.
cannot reach.
Sapadal! I finally know the name of my god!
Did you get anything?
Sapadal says the real garden is the friends we made along the way. They're definitely trapped in the garden.
Nothing we
Quicker retirement, more user retirement, more time. That is true. That is true. Fair point. Fair point.
Clearly your link to Sapadal
Oh.
isn't as strong as it was in Nakutadak. But I'll take it over nothing.
Oh, man. I want to ask Sapadal a question. Sure. You know,
Pass. Right. If I want.
Just me then.
So let me see if I can. Looking for the garden.
okay, so one of the really interesting things that I had from improved health outcomes using money to let you live longer. That is very true, actually. That's 100% true right there.
Don't look at me. I was fine.
You know, one of the things I am actually really interested in, though, is the final Tear Down Heaven book. Okay, so this is one of the things I've actually recently come to a decision about, and it's something... you might have noticed I've slowed down my video production because I've just been putting a bit more time into each video, and then I've also just had less time to do videos. But I also decided recently that, look, Rachel Aaron, you knock out, like, a series over the course of a year and a half, and I'm doing, like, even at my optimal times, I'm doing, like, a review every other week, not counting the weeks where I just get overwhelmed and can't get anything done. I can't afford to use 3 of those 26 periods to do just your book series. So I'm going to kind of wait for her Tear Down Heaven series to finish. I'm not sure if it's going to finish on book 4. It's currently on book 3. And book 3 was not the ending of it. I finished book 3 a while back on the audiobook. I am extremely interested in where it's going, though. And I'm not sure if I'll do a review on it, or if I'm going to do a separate video, or I'll do both. But I do want to actually talk about the way Rachel Aaron approaches gods and in her stories, because it's actually a little different from what I've seen in other stuff. I talked about the Code and Assembly, but in the second book, there was a whole thing with the Morrigan, which automatically got my respect, because you're doing Sumerian and Irish mythology now. All the less pleasant stuff. Siogorot won't be pleased with us. And there was this really cool moment where Adrian, the witch in the series, gets to basically ask the Morrigan 3 questions about the nature of reality and what Gilgamesh is doing and what happened to the gods. And the answers they get, especially in the third book, when we meet one of the other gods, or a part of him, he's like a fragment of a fragment kind of thing. Enki, the god of the forges, who crafted humanity long ago. There's this really weird moment where Enki is just, like, completely uninterested in dealing with Gilgamesh. And then there's just, like, so many weird... I'm legitimately... One of the most interesting things for me is what's going to happen in the fourth book. Because there was a whole thing where we got Gilgamesh's own possibly lying opinion on his own work. And he seemed to not like what he did. But he's also a tyrant and a lying asshole. But the information we have gotten also doesn't paint the gods in a great light. Like, they're assholes, and not in a way that's like they were just ignorant or arrogant. They're just, like, uncaring. In a really, really unique way. When I say uncaring, I mean even about their own existence to an extent. Minor spoiler for the book, but it's not like a huge deal. But basically, there's this whole thing where Enki, they managed to summon a fragment of one of the dead gods, and they need their help for something. It's something only that god can do. And it will directly help them defeat Gilgamesh. He simply got bored and stuff. And the god is literally like, nah. It's like, what do you mean, nah? We're fighting this entire war to bring the gods back and kill Gilgamesh. It's like, yeah, but we could just, like, wait. Like, he's mortal. Sure, he's immortal for now, but he wasn't born immortal. We'll just wait till he dies. We can just wait everything out. It's not a big deal, really. You guys are making a big fuss out of this. And then everyone else is like, your creations, the demons, are suffering and dying. The swords you forged have been tainted and corrupted. It's like, yeah, well, that sucks. It's like, do you just not give a shit? It's like, basically, yeah. It's like, but if you don't give a shit, why don't you help? Well, I do like having a ghost, so I'm just gonna keep this. Like, so you'd rather watch everything go wrong as a ghost.
Hard to believe it's been 6 years since I saw.
So, Ikaival's Odin's bow was given listing on Wikipedia under mythology weapons. Even given description, this entry wasn't immediately removed. Ironically, it was seen as a wrongful removal. Oh my god, no, people. This is cytogenesis, stop. Cite your goddamn sources properly. No. I'm like 99% positive there was no famous bow. Odin had his famous steed, he had his crows, he had Gungnir, his spear. He didn't, can't actually think of any myth in which he used a bow. And unlike, like, Greek and, unlike a lot of other mythology, Odin doesn't, I mean, yeah, he appears as, like, Woden or other variants in some, you know, fairy tales and East German fairy tales and stuff, but he's not really in a lot of mythology. It's basically just the prose and poetic Edda. How? How do you get a mistake that badly when there's not even that much mythology to draw from? At this point you can trace Ikavel any inclusions back to Fire Emblem. But how is that just not immediately taken down? I don't get it. Got the beetles. Okay, Mr. Lizard Man. Get wrecked. Rock. Freeze. Whoa, what happened to my mouse? Went nuts. Citation needed. Citation needed. Indeed. Ugh. Nothing is more frustrating than hearing a story and believing it might be an actual myth and then learning it isn't. Actually, it was kind of funny. One of my favorite channels for mythology is OSP. And a long time ago, they posted a story about like the Rainbow Crow, which was a story about how the crow was originally like rainbow feathered, but became blackened because it flew to the sun. And I had actually heard that myth online a few times. Like, I'd never known where it came from, but I had heard the story a few times, and I also, like them, had assumed it was a myth. So when I saw their video, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Okay. And then, like, sometime afterwards, they actually posted that actually they got tricked. And it's one of the reasons they check all their sources more accurately now. Because that was just some story made up in more recent era. It's, like, just a story. A normal, modern story. That somebody just made up. They are myth-making. I think there's a difference between mythology and stories. Like, Journey to the West is a story. Buddhism is a mythology, if that makes sense. Like, even in the even if you go back in time, you can still find things that are just stories rather than mythology. A mythology is generally something that was a part of the actual culture and belief systems of that era. You know? Now, the dumb thing I do think is that I think Bigfoot and Mothman will end up being mythology. Which is really stupid. But, you know, Bloodborne is not mythology, if that makes sense. Modern edition not quantifying as historical canon. Fun fact, Ikalvil is the relic that powers Chris's Symphony Gear in the Symphony Gear Army. I thought it was Gungear was the thing that powered her in the... Because remember the spear broke off? Oh, the gun wielder. Okay, sorry. I was thinking the wrong one. The gun wielder. Wait. Do you believe the story? Become part of your belief system. I mean, I would say enough people believe in Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster that it could end up becoming mythology or, you know, something similar to it. Alright. Got him. You were thinking of Hibiki. Yes, I was thinking of Hibiki. Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Boom. Yes. No, the idea of culture and mythology and what it and the way it changes over time is always really interesting. You know, because mythology generally, I mean, there are exceptions, but most of the time, mythology doesn't really have a canon, so to speak. It has generally accepted variations. Like, even coming aside local variants, even if you just look at the major texts, checking out something like Ovid versus the references in the Iliad and the Odyssey, because they reference other myths in the Iliad and the Odyssey as, like, to refer to gods. They'll often refer to them as the things they've done, which tend to be their myths. And then referring to other things, such as the hymns to Demeter or hymns to various gods, collected by other scholars, you'll find inaccuracies just naturally occurring over time. Oh god, what was like the big... Like, I'm trying to remember what it was. There was one Greek guy that tried to, like, write out the genealogy of every Greek god and all the nymphs and all the monsters and get, like, essentially a myth record going on where they all came from. And even that record contradicted several other major sources. Myth changes over time, even till today. Yeah, I mean, like, Hades in particular. If you want a good example, Hades is a great example of a character that's undergone a lot of change over time. Especially since Persephone may be older than him. See, we actually can't really find references to Hades in Mycenaean Greece, because we've only recently been able to decipher Linear B. That's not to say he doesn't exist there. He might, but we don't know for a fact that he does. Persephone, we have found some references to her, so she might have predated him? And Poseidon was kind of the underworld sea god combo back then, which is weird. The entry wasn't corrected because it slipped through the radar initially. By the time it was discovered, too many people believed it was real. The power of belief manifested.
I'm not troubled by this.
Uh,
If I die,
so, like, Hades had a really interesting change. Because originally, he was just the god of the underworld. If we go back to, like, Hellenistic Greece. Not trotting my Canaan, because that's a headache and a half, and I don't know anywhere near enough about that subject. I know some basic facts that I've learned from other channels, and some very, very basic reading I've done on my own, but I don't know enough about my Canadian age Greece. There I know some, like, basic facts, but not in-depth stuff. In detail, though, Hades was the king of the underworld, and he didn't really do much. He didn't good out like the other gods. He didn't really cheat on Persephone in any really major myths. Like, he wasn't Zeus and Poseidon constantly having affairs left and right. He didn't generally help heroes that much. If they came to the underworld, he may ask for help. Outside of other people coming down there, like Theseus, Pirithous, and Hercules, or Orpheus that one time, the only times Hades shows up is when people mess with death. Yeah, aside from that, the only times Hades really went after people was Pirithous, because he tried to steal Persephone, so he sicked the Furies on him and bound him with stone chairs. There was Sisyphus, because he was trying to cheat death. And there was Asclepius, and Hades wasn't even really responsible for that. He asked Zeus to make Asclepius stop resurrecting the dead and stealing his subjects, and Zeus set the guy on fire. So that's on Zeus. So Hades was a very chill guy. You know, people were still scared of him because the Greeks thought they were terrified of the underworld, and they thought talking about underworld deities was a good way to get their attention. So even if Hades was chill, you didn't want him to pay attention to you, if that makes sense. So you tended to just not refer to him directly. He screwed himself. Yeah, Hades told him what to do. It's not his fault that he didn't believe him. But as time went on, Hades ended up getting a bad rap. First off, for the kidnapping of Persephone, which is technically Zeus's fault. Because Hades asked if he could marry Persephone. Zeus said yes and just didn't tell Demeter. So that's on Zeus, in my opinion. But he got a bad rap for that. And in the more modern era, after Christianity became a thing, he got seen as a, god of the underworld, which to Christians sounds like hell, not also heaven, because the Greeks believed that there was paradise, neutral area with the fields of Asphodel, and the Isle of the Blessed or Elysium, alongside the fields of punishment. It was all there, good, bad, and just okay. So the underworld wasn't inherently evil, you just didn't like death. Nobody did, natural to not be a little afraid of death. And so Christianity ended up associating him with Satan, which he did, nothing to deserve? I genuinely don't know why he became... I get it, King of the Underworld sounds scary, but he wasn't evil. He just did his job. And that led into more modern interpretations. Most notably, Disney's Hercules. Now, I have mixed feelings with Disney's Hercules. I get it, it's just a story. But at the same time, why couldn't you have just made the Hera the villain? Why'd you have to pick on Hades? You didn't have to pick on Hades. Yes. So the myth was that Zeus told Hades that if you go to the actual Ode of Demeter, it's actually about Demeter herself. So Zeus was approached by Hades, and he was like, I want to marry Persephone. And so Zeus was like, yeah, sure, go for it. But he didn't tell Persephone or her mother Demeter, his sister. Ignore the fact that the gods marry their sisters and their brothers and all that. It's just something that happens, just ignore it. And so he grabbed Persephone. And so Demeter went all over asking the other gods where they went, because, one god said they heard her, or saw something, and eventually she found out she was in the underworld. But Zeus told her, oh, actually, I let Hades wed her, and now she's down there. And Demeter got really sulky, and then some humans pissed her off, and she just decided she wanted to bundle up in a temple they had her build. She had them build. And so she, as the goddess of fertility, didn't let things grow and progress. And so the first winters became a thing. Maybe they thought it would be really cool to retroactively make him Satan. It's just a myth, so try to view it through modern perspective. Don't put too much thought, if that makes any freaking sense. I mean, yeah. They also tried to make Achilles and Patroclus cousins in many of the modern movie versions of the Iliad. Because that's totally what that text was about, I'm certain. That was definitely the way that relationship worked out. Oh, almost definitely not, no. Christianity tended to rewrite myths it was not comfortable with. It's also probably why you don't see a lot of Apollo, honestly. That guy banged everyone. Man, woman did not matter to him. Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. Look, mushroom people. Ah. So they got boarded up in the house and I let them out. Cordyceps face. Anyway, long story short, we actually don't really know what the deal with the pomegranate is, because apparently the only text we have on Persephone's kidnapping kind of is a little damaged. So some parts of it are not entirely clear. The part of the underworld, she's ate up part of the underworld, and so she's now a part of it, is kind of an interpretation to an extent. I had to go back. I have actually a copy of the Ode to Demeter. Like a physical copy. I have a bunch of like the old hymns to various gods, like in a little academic book. I've looked through it occasionally. Christianity changed over time, so many actual messages and things got altered already. Actually altered. Things got probably already actually altered. That is a sentence to unpack. Okay. I think I get what you're saying. But you're not wrong. Christianity, actually, it's really fascinating to me the way that Christianity's belief on magic and the supernatural has changed. The thing that first got me interested in it was actually a video on werewolves by OSP that I think would do a really good job. I mostly went and found like their sources and checked out some of the things they were saying and verified them, but there is a really good video if you want to get started on looking at that. Basically, for a long time, Christianity actually didn't believe magic was really possible. Like, it wasn't even like it's evil. It just wasn't a thing they believed happened. If something that wasn't normal happened, it's because the Christian God made it happen. But in God, I forget when, but there were also people who were believed to be insane by most people who thought they could like turn into wolves, and they were not supposed to think that, so they were deemed insane or sick, which are harmful. To be fair, the whole incest taboo and stigma is interesting because it was created to put blood-related copulation, which was proved harmful, but ended up extending to non-blood related, which are as harmful as your mom and dad copulating. Yeah, but that's more of like social stigma to an extent. And to be fair, like, how would you get one stigma to fully exist without the other, you know? Because the whole thing is people, the whole shorthand in human memory, or the way we describe it to people, is the people you've like lived with your whole life from the moment you've like been born are probably not the people you should be dating. Which is built from our more family unit perspective on immediate families all raising each other in very close-knit, smaller groups. Still interesting, not condemning the whole thing. Yeah. But no, it wasn't until this one guy started a sort of witch panic that magic was started to be seen as... He wrote this whole book because this one woman wouldn't date him, and so he went to her declared a witch. And the people, from what I understand, his actual life, everybody kind of dismissed him as an idiot, but eventually his writings became somewhat of a foundation for like modern witch hunt stuff. So even that isn't like that new. I mean, that old. It's fairly new in the belief system of Christianity, which I've always just found rather interesting, considering how much we, you know, culturally we understand like the Salem witch trials and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but that whole belief system on like witches and evil magic and stuff is like the last few centuries, I think. I'm like 90% positive the whole incident where that started was after 1000 AD, so it's within like a millennia. Which, you know, on a large time scale of belief structures is relatively new, like halfway into Christianity's lifespan at the very, very minimum, if not much later. I'd have to go check it out. There was a whole like book published about it by this one weird priest or pastor or something. Guys, I really need to pull up the details on that again. There were also people who believed they could turn into wolves and battle demons in their dreams, which was really freaking weird. But it was a thing. That whole shtick was odd, to be honest. Whoa. Ah. Oh, you, Mr. Priest, you're not. No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this priesthood nonsense. You need to get zapped. Get zapped, buddy. Z-Sock. Oh, it also hits the Dream Thrall. Okay, cool. Doesn't sound that different than you, to be honest. Whoa. Whoa. Shit. It's interesting that science essentially killed mythology in the modern day. I mean, I wouldn't actually say that. Mythology has continued to persist. If you're looking at things that are going to become mythology, like I said, Loch Ness Monster, we just traded it to more scientific explanations. Like how we, you know, don't think that the Plesiosaur, like it's a, you know, magic sea serpent in a lock. We think it's maybe a plesiosaur that got locked in there. Like, we just turned to scientific explanations to explain the same kind of things that we used to explain with magic, or because the gods said so. Because much of mythology was created as a way to explain the world. Exactly. And so with science as a basis, you turn to more pseudo-rational explanations, where you get, like, pseudosciences and stuff like that. That's why a lot of even more mystical stuff that you see, like alchemy, for example, was during some of the more enlightened times, where they believed that the sciences were capable of things that were basically just magic. It was basically just saying that science just became the shorthand for beliefs that would have otherwise been seen as mystical or supernatural. Which is interesting in and of itself, but it is a topic way outside my normal wheelhouse to an extent. And my... Okay, we got a lot of Dream Thralls here. Let's deal with this. Freeze, you bastards. Ixoxo. Whoa. Oof. Vibrational energy cure-all. Exactly. I mean, how is that any different from, you know, how is that stuff any different than I was blessed or cursed by the Fae and now I walk funny, or, you know, the gods are what cause lightning, you know, or I believe I am a demigod. It's like, now I believe, you know, I can see the future, or I'm telepathic. It's whatever those kind of beliefs are. The justification for them is what's changed, not necessarily the fact that people still believe in those things. Which is interesting, like really interesting. But at the same time, it's also not that different when you boil it down. The thing that's even in science times of ours, from time to time, unexplainable, easy, understandable way phenomena can be acknowledged as other mythicals. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, there are still people who believe they can talk to the dead, or see the future, or any of those things. I mean, some people are doing it to scam people, but I'm sure some people were doing it to scam people even back in the day. I mean, hell, I have a personal idea that the Oracle of Delphi was just a modern day scam artist. I mean, just a modern day scam artist in ancient times. How do you know? I mean, that's like saying, how do we know that Zeus... That's like, I mean, that's the same thing people would have said back in the day, though, about Zeus, right? It's like, how do you know Zeus isn't actually up there throwing the lightning? It's like, because that seems a little ridiculous. But really ridiculous things have happened. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, hell, the giant squid is a good example of one, actually. For years, giant squid, or like kraken-style creatures, were thought to be entirely myth, and then we found out that they may have been sort of true-ish, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. You know, they weren't exactly like the myth, but nothing really ever is. Back in the day when lightning set your field on fire is because you angered the gods. Yeah, that was actually a bit of a problem, though, sometimes. The main problem with that is, like, natural disasters are going to happen. Like, sometimes they're caused in part by human action. Look at current example. You know, current weather disasters as example. But also sometimes they're just not. In China in particular, or in Asian cultures, a lot of rulers were seen as, you know, having to follow... Obviously, when bad things happen, like droughts or famines or diseases, they were often seen as a result of the ruler possibly not abiding by the god's wishes or losing the right to rule, and bad shit would happen when that happened. Which is not great. You don't want your entire command structure devolving during a catastrophe, because everybody thinks that they're the problem because they angered the gods. I mean, I'm not saying they were competent or great or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's not the best thing to happen during, you know, a famine or a drought, to have a revolution going on. I am simply open-minded to the point where I'm comfortable with the thought of someone having paranatural miracle talents. Still finding it hilarious that sailors mistook erect whale willies as sea serpents. I never heard that one. Where did you hear that one before? I have literally never heard that before. Good God. Please send... Okay, I almost don't want to, but the option is so bizarre that I must see references. Please post reference link.
Hold it right there, Adira.
Oh my.
Been sick? Strange dreams lately?
God damn.
The only strange dreams we've had.
That's still the case. Who was blamed for Katrina?
What are you doing here?
Yeah,
Bertie's gonna have a fit.
that's fair.
You know
You know, Kai, for an Adiran, your friend doesn't seem
Man.
too bad.
Kai shouldn't be here. None of you should be here.
Gods, it's so weird.
The Adirans now.
I'm with the envoy. and
Okay.
that's the Dream Scourge.
Show some respect to the person who just saved your
You should
lives.
respect our authority to protect Thirdborn from unknown dangers like you.
So we got the samurai fish people over here.
Do those dream thralls for us. I doubt he could have done that if he was sick. I, for one,
Are you smoking Seth? The Adirans tried raising Fior. We'll be next.
Not the Adiran, it's the Steel Garrote.
darn, can we get on with it?
Fine. All right.
Oh, wow.
Can't keep you out if you're not sick anyway.
Alright.
We just have to take precautions. Everyone in Thirdborn has lost something.
I like how people out here are actually admitting the Dream Scourge exists. Then again, I guess it's impossible to deny the Dream Scourge exists when there's a bunch of plant zombies running around killing people.
Dream scourge. When you find symptoms, it's already too late.
So we had not Italy, and now we have a little not Japan. Cool. Good to know. Good to know.
Everyone okay?
Skeleton of a Leviathan, one of the deadliest creatures called these waters home. Damn, that thing is huge. Reminds me of some of the things that we saw in Subnautica. Have you guys played Subnautica? It's one of the better survival crafters. One of the best, actually. Mostly because it has an actual end goal, and there's a point to everything you're doing. Also, one of the things I love about Subnautica is that it keeps a running tally of everything you, like, craft or use on the, on your mission. And then when you return home, you get a bill. Because this was all the company's resources, and how dare you use them to selfishly save your life. Perfect sci-fi dystopia to cap off and be like, can I go back to the water plant and turn the giant laser cannon back on? That way I can just live there peacefully? That would be real nice. To stem the tide of the Dream Scourge, this house is now off limits. Forced entry will earn you a swift toss over the town wall. Oh, wow. This is like, they're like undergoing like full plague outbreak, huh? Like markings on the walls, boarded up houses, the works. Damn. Deep Sea Tycoon, does that count? I mean, I guess. I still say Subnautica is just like really good. I love being the hero in an RPG though. You could just barge into people's houses and take whatever you like, and they won't even care. Won't even care.
Let me guess. My Nikai sent you.
Save myself. This are Operation Coast officers, otherwise it would be a waste of manpower and lesser chance of succeeding. Is he succeeded now?
Glad to see you're
Uh,
Kai, what rock have you been
man.
under? Those scales are looking rougher since I last saw you.
Your eyesight finally got
This is
We
just
didn't come here to talk about
ridiculous.
that Nakai of yours still getting
Man,
good
I am...
Like a cannonball in a rolling deck, that kid.
I'm actually really excited for the new Looney Tunes movie, though. It just came out. I bundled with Mall Tycoon and Moon Tycoon. How many Tycoon games are there? Like, seriously.
Called heroes
You
over
can only make what is essentially the same game so many times. I guess you can make basically the same game infinitely. Candy Crush has shown that. They were not very good. Okay. Uh,
And this makes you a hero? I have
Hmm.
to take your word for it.
Those days are
Damn.
long past. I'm a sick old man now.
uh, apparently it's disputed on whether or not Whale Willie saw the explanation for sea serpents, as one explanation could be with the in-joke among sailors and whalers that made its way to land. Tycoon is is a genre, not a series. Okay. So were they made by the same people who did like Roller Coaster Tycoon though? Or no? I guess that would be my other question then.
Promise it'll be worth your while. I want to see my heart one last
Ooh.
time.
Yes, 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 yes,
Get
yes.
it for me.
Sure, I'm always up for a challenge. I'm an RPG adventurer. It's like how many simulator games can the games? That's fair. That is fair. Although I still think there might be a few too many of those as well. Oh, also one of the interesting things happened originally. So originally before this past weekend, the Looney Tunes movie was only available at AMC theaters. But then this week it came into theaters. This past week it came into theaters, and now I can get tickets on Cinemark. So that's weird. Like it just like suddenly popped, and it's still not showing up on like the new movies list. Like you have to manually search for the thing. They left this out to die. But I am excited because I haven't seen a proper Looney Tunes movie in a long time. There hasn't been any full-on Looney Tunes movie in a long time. Dare you to find a single person who didn't drown park goers? Roller Coaster Tycoon. That's like finding someone who hasn't drowned a sim in a pool. Hell, I don't even own The Sims, and I've drowned a sim in a pool. Like, it's almost a universal understanding that if you give people godlike power, they're going to abuse it. Usually to create sadistic murder caves. And people wonder why I don't think any like monotheistic religion's god could be that built us in his image could be compassionate and understanding and truly benevolent. Because I've seen what people do when they get godlike authority. They torture people in pools. I didn't drown park goers. Not even once? Not even as an experiment? Well, on purpose. Okay, there you go. Oh, man. Not on purpose. Well, hey, at least you told it like that. Oh. There are people who drown park goers and liars. Let's see. Yeah, well. Gotta find all the shops and the side quests. Let's go to our main quest, though, for now. Do some of this. Wow, like, everything is like pagodas. Is it weird that there's, like, this lush, verdant Japan area in the middle of a freaking desert? It feel... What? Can you grow cherry blossoms in a desert? I'm actually curious now. Can somebody look that up? I'm genuinely wondering if you could grow cherry blossoms in a desert now. This is the kind of thing this game makes me question. I guess they do have a coast right nearby, so it's not like they're, like, hurting for water. They probably get decent rain. But no, they're in a desert. Why would they get decent rain? That doesn't make sense. Huh. I'm so confused by this place. I mean, yes, like, this isn't really a problem to believe. More a human being stupid and cruel. At least one guest that was standing on a piece of path waiting for the cue line, sue me.
What I don't know is why he's in the company of one of our own.
I meant to stop by, but I guess time got away from me.
Sue me.
I'll deal with you
I mean, no, there aren't any consequences.
But your friend has some explaining to do. Why have you come to Thirdborn?
Ooh.
After what your people did in Emerald Stair, I can't imagine you carry an edict of friendship with you.
Wow, everybody already knows what happened. Don't confuse me with that murderous
No,
zealot.
Adir just supports her. In arms, politics, and kith.
I know you're upset tonight, but don't take it out on us. I'm furious too, darling. That monster
So stole my research. Wait, she stole your research. Why?
But you know that if this Adiri was untrustworthy, I'd kill him myself.
I apologize, Zomboy. Eagle's Reach is a slaughterhouse. Dream
It's
Thrall
all
sees
stories are
things
day and night.
People are hungry, and I have not slept in days.
If you want a chaotic god of simulators, Josh of Let's Game It Out, definitely one to go to. Oh man.
This isn't a courtesy visit.
Yes. You know what? I'm not gonna give her the lesson. Only my own. Only my own. Lodwyn, her Steel Garrote are coming.
Does she intend to raise our home as well?
Maybe worse. Ludwig's goons stole all my research on the god.
Oh, the Godless weren't actually godless, so that's an incorrect naming now.
Interested in the godless ruins here.
What do you mean?
Oh, man. Now, if you want some real fun, go look up Mesoamerican gods. Those things are fucking metal. It's great. Also, Quetzalcoatl is just one of my favorite dragons. Think of what Lodwyn did at Fior, then use your imagination. Might be after the location of the garden. I don't think I've mentioned the garden to her. But, okay, that statement somehow makes sense to her. Wait, why is she... What? Okay, that feels a little weird. I don't think I mentioned the garden in this conversation, and yet when I say she's looking for the garden, it's like... Not, you know, they're not immediately going like, hey, so what's the deal with the garden?
Getting in or out without
Okay, so they know what the garden is?
Green Grim. As in
Huh.
the circle of arch
Gray still plays with his World Simulator videos.
The very one.
I mean, I'm guilty of making villager trading outposts in gigantic air quotes when I'm playing Skyblocks. Gods, I used to when I was younger, like middle school through high school, it was Minecraft for me. Minecraft. Oh my gods, I loved Minecraft. And I still do. I actually played Skyblocks all the way through multiple times. I loved building up from like a single area. Especially back when you could do obsidian generators, and you could eventually build like an obsidian platform for your world. Oh gods, it's so cool. Nowadays you can do so much. There are some really interesting things though I want to try with it. In particular, one thing I have been really looking to do is what's called a, what is it, illegal run or whatever, or legal item run. Basically, it's where you start in the beta versions of Minecraft, okay? And you try and get all the items that in the modern Minecraft you can't get anymore. And so when you update the game, you update bit by bit through like test versions and old beta versions and older versions of the game. So you get like golden enchanted apples, you get use Silk Touch to grab spawner blocks and move them around, all sorts of stuff like that. And it's really cool. I really want to try it out. Also, Gray still plays with his World Simulator, but Josh loves playing early access games, breaking them in ways not thought of. Remember when I made the Rich Sims house and Devils decided not to include a smoke alarm? I don't think I remember that, but that does sound like something you want to do.
They made adherence with such bravery.
Gods. The problem is, though, it's something that requires so much time, because unless you're planning out a seed that somehow has everything you need across, like, multiple things, you're gonna have to randomly explore until you find it with each one. And every time you update, the new chunks that are loaded, if it's something that needs to be found in the overworld, like a, you know, Darkwood, or Dark Forest stronghold for, like, the Illagers, you're going to have to go farther and further away, or, like, ocean monuments. And as you go through the, you know, grabbing illegal items, it's going to get harder and harder. Waste not wanting, I suppose.
Definitely practical, I'll give her that.
Let's can we casual mention out of the blue that someone made Sonic Unleashed work. Yeah, you mentioned that. I think you mentioned that. Either you mentioned that or one of my friends did. Or no, one of my coworkers at work. Actually, no, it was Thomas. It was Thomas at work. He mentioned that because he's a big Sonic fan. Went away for an hour, found an urn on the kitchen floor. Well, did they get cremated there or at the morgue? That's the question. Damn.
That's what I'm afraid of. Good luck.
All right.
Good. One last thing. I need your help with something.
All right. What do you need my help with?
We're off to see an archmage to gain access to an ancient god.
I'm still the fur and the hair still looks really weird.
I've just the fragrance for such an occasion. I want to make sure I smell my best.
Let's game it out.
Meet me
Okay.
by the tavern when you're ready to head out.
I will put it on my gigantic list of things I have to get to.
Thank you for returning.
Had to be a friend because I was planning to, but ultimately didn't.
Need your help, but I do.
She hairy and furry.
The Third Warners decided they'd form their own militia to protect the region
God,
because of
so
course they
dumb.
would. And now, predictably, they're missing.
What do you think happened to them?
Murdered for their arrogance. I hope no
When you hear the phrase "Is there a limit?" from Josh, you refer yourself. The limit does not exist. Yes, I've heard that. I've heard that a lot from several people online. The limit does not exist.
Figure out what happened, report back, and I'll
Oh man,
some change for you.
what are some of like the weirder games that I would recommend? I'm trying to think like back on like any game that I've played that I'm not sure anyone else has played. I have played some stuff, but like, oh, do you guys know there's like for Bionicle Heroes? You know Bionicle Heroes? Well, I owned both the GameCube version of that game and the Game Boy version, which were completely different but called the same thing. And I was going through some of my old stuff, and I actually found the old Game Boy version of Bionicle Heroes. It didn't work anymore. The game was just not working. I think the pin connectors were corroded. I tried replacing the battery, but it just didn't work anymore. So it was a dud, unfortunately. But I do remember the game was very different than the regular version. And it reminded me of that era where you'd have like a mobile version, like a sort of like a pseudo-mobile version of a game. Maybe games I've shown you. That's true. Games you've shown me. Let's see. I mean, like, Chance of Sonar is great, but I think you told me about that one, but I also heard about it from other places. Oh, what was the one with the rabbit and the logic puzzles? The one where you had to push blocks to create, like, logic puzzle solutions with bunnies or rabbits? Oh, God, I have a mobile... Actually, I can pull up my phone real quick because I have a mobile version of it I play occasionally. That one, the one that has, like, the brain-melting puzzles that get progressively harder and harder and harder. Which one was it? Gods, it was... Baba Is You. That was it. Baba Is You. Yes. I got it right before you posted it. Actually, I pulled it up on my phone. Baba Is You. Yes. Baba Is You is really good. Love that game. Absolutely love it. I'm not sure which one the last one I've stuck on because I don't play a lot on my phone, and that's when I kind of play it these days. Is like if I have some time, I check one of the last puzzles I did. Haven't done that in a long time though, because now when I have downtime, I do Duolingo and practice. Yes, Frederick, I'm going to try and memorize the kanji before I meet with you on Saturday. Damn, Assembly was first. Actually, Fafnir was first.
As we've seen many times before,
Yeah, there's a delay.
balance in
Don't
life
forget.
creates an imbalance in society.
Sorry, a shortage is a shortage. No salt.
Alright.
West of Eagle's Reach. You can get there from the
Oh.
lake. There's a path that leads up to it.
Let's see, what are some of the other games I've been recommending?
The right way.
Third Borners used to warn their kids.
I'm trying to think of something that's like the thing is I have a lot of stuff that people just generally know about.
Star medal in my lifetime. Short answer.
I have another 5 for next week. God damn it. This is my best friend. This is my best friend who hears that I have like no time and it's like, you can remember 5 kanji this week. Also, I'll be quizzing you, so you better remember them.
If you knew how rare this stuff is, you wouldn't ask me to risk it.
All right.
Oh, Battle On or Adventure Quest. Has anyone played Adventure Quest? Best $20 I ever spent. hands down, 100%. It was like an old 2D Flash RPG, and it was actually really fun for its time. You know, it's pretty basic. It had a very, very basic adventurer demo version where you couldn't get to max level, and honestly, even if you could, you were doing just mostly mindless grinding. But if you paid like $20, you got the full version, which was the Guardian Edition for a character. And yes, it had like Z tokens, but you could earn them. In the Game Boy Aragon game, you used the movie adaptation for advertisement, yet instead of going through with the plot of the movie, it went through the book's plot. I didn't know that. I couldn't get... The Game Boy game just, like, went over my head. I got bored with it. I had it, because I got it from, like, a GameStop, I think, a long time ago, and I don't think I ever finished it. I was very disillusioned by the movie shortly after I got the game, so that's probably why. Adventure Quest was weird, though. It also replicated the housing market, which was so weird. So, with Adventure Quest, there were the premium currency Z tokens. Even back in, like, the early 2000s, this was a thing that was starting to happen. Having played the game, GBA ROM, Braum was killed by the Rozak, like in the book. That's good. That was very impactful, though. Very good, very good. I do like the Aragon books. They're some of my favorite book series. It is a series I know very, very well. Mostly because I've just read it over and over and over and over again. But, basically, in the game, Z-tokens were used for premium currency. And you got, like, one or two every few battles. But most of the things that you needed them for cost, like, hundreds, if not thousands of Z-tokens. So, functionally, that wasn't really an effective way to do it. However, for like 125, you could get a starter house, which basically you could like use to go on like raid events, and you could use to like store extra items and stuff like that. It was basically just sort of like a base of operations thing. However, it had a really weird mechanic where the house would have like 70%, I think, of its value as a resale. So basically, if you buy a house and try and sell it back, it'd be only worth like 70% of its value. But if you waited if you waited a long time, like every 2 weeks, I think, or every week, or it was either every week or every other week, it would increase by like 1% of its value. So it had interest. Yes, the house grew with interest. And if I remember correctly, I have like one of the top tier houses now, because if you wait several years, go log back into the game and sell your old house, you can upgrade to a newer one, which will increase in money value sooner. And then if you sell your house after and then once you get to the top tier one, every once in a while you just sell it, and you can essentially get premium currency if you've been playing the game for like over a decade. It's a whole thing, and it was really weird because I did it kind of on and off. Like I had these, because it worked out really well, because it takes like a year and a half or 2 years for a house to even be worth it to sell, for it to be able to upgrade to the next house essentially, which worked really well for my kind of on and off again thing, where every few years I'd just like go back to it. Every year or so I'd just go back and do it during a board period. So it kind of weirdly worked out, and now I have some top tier stuff. And I actually have decent Z tokens because I can every once in a while I can actually sell it. I'm not sure I'd recommend playing it. It's a very old game, and in order to do what I did without paying money, you would have to like really wait a long time. Not even sure it's gonna be around that long. Honestly, it might not entirely even work anymore regardless. It's been like a year and a half since it's been over 2 years since I tried to play it, so it might not even be operational anymore. There is also Adventure Quest Worlds, which is different. It's a different game. I've never gotten into that because all my time was invested in the first one. I believe that's called Overwatch 2 Syndrome. Or not Overwatch 2 Syndrome, but like, what's a good example of that aside from that? Good games doesn't age. Battlelon is very turn-based, but I like it. However, it is very bullshit. It's basically just glorified rock, paper, scissors with elemental resistances and weaknesses. You can train up your character to get stats and do sort of builds, but the builds are very... If you don't use like a very optimized build, you're gonna get shredded in the late game. The enemies are just unfair a lot of times. They're just really powerful enemies, and you go through gauntlets of them. Like, you don't just fight a boss. you fight a bunch of enemies to get to a boss and fight through a labyrinth while you click through your way and use a grid map and keep track of where you're going. So it was fun, but it also felt like most of the time when you died, you just got worn down by attrition via enemies. It wasn't that you did anything wrong per se. It's that you got critical hit and your enemy attacked you first few times and you just got worn down because you can't completely avoid damage. It was a weird one for me personally. Oh shoot. Why is my... Let's take this out. See if that fixes it. Okay. Oh, that fixed it. That fixed it. Something was going on with my mouse. I'm not sure what it was. But I unplugged my controller and that seems to have fixed it. So it looks like having the controller plugged in was the issue. Hope that controller isn't starting to have stick drift. That would really suck. I don't really understand why the stealth system is in the game. Just grind to making claim pots in RuneScape. Alright, break them down. Let's go. See, I think I played RuneScape when I was younger, but I actually can't remember playing it. I don't really remember doing anything in RuneScape. Which is a little weird for me. Figure the first three original releases of Kingdom Hearts, mostly because playing the original PS2 release has the least convoluted story with the least plot holes. I mean, like, saying it's the Kingdom Hearts game with the least plot holes is like saying it's the least depressing From Software game. You know? Like, yeah, it might be true, but it's also not the best way to describe the game, most likely. I don't know, I haven't played the Kingdom Hearts game, I just know their story is apparently a confusing mess. So forgive me if I'm incorrect in that assessment.
Share what I've got with the others. Nothing like good stuff, is there? Best thing the gods gave us.
What are you doing out here?
Dreamy. Thinking I don't mind life.
What on earth? I don't find some software games depressing. Spooky and dark, yes, but like...
You should try it sometime.
Oh man. So you didn't even feel an ounce of sadness when you had to kill Sif? Even if you went to the DLC first, he recognized you and mourned how somberly before fighting you?
No, what was I?
You didn't hate that half the NPCs you befriended ended up dying in increasingly horrific ways or going mad and insane? I mean, good power to you if you didn't, but... Whoosh. Let's go. Okay, let's see here on the journal, actually. Let's go to main quest track. Okay, so I'm like way out the beaten path. I've been following this other marker. Alright. No, it's actually rather simple. Okay, I will have to take your word for it on that one. So sometimes it's better to kill some cool character. I mean, for their loot. You're talking about for their loot. See, I have a thing with From Software games where unless I already know everything, I don't like killing the characters because you lose access to the quest lines and stuff.
If we don't put a stop to it, we're looking at the end of the living lands.
Even if we still heal the living lands, we still need to rest away from the Steel
How can anyone
Garrote.
expect us to do both?
Yep.
As if the Dream Scourge wasn't
Basically,
enough.
Kingdom Hearts
The idea
Sora.
of profiting off our
In Kingdom
misfortune.
Hearts Sora. No talking about story. No, I'm talking about story.
Weakness.
You mean the story where the world is constantly stuck in a cycle of death and rebirth that's slowly eating away at the very sanity of time itself? To the point where the world becomes an endless sea of ash, with the last remaining person clambering onto the Dark Soul thing that started this whole mess, all because Gwyn couldn't let the natural seasons of progression happen, and that everything, this death and rebirth, the madness, all of it is a result of one man's attempt to hold back the clock against the inevitable? That's not depressing. That one person screwed up the universe so thoroughly that the entire world is literally cracking apart.
Let's hope it never comes. It's too bad. We're fighting for our lives.
Like adventure. Reality is so boring that I would welcome such a change of pace.
You really think so?
Yeah, I think we'll make it.
Apologies for acting.
We're the heroes in an RPG.
It feels as
We're
if
pretty plot. We have pretty good plot armor. Oh man.
here I am. Despite
Yep.
everything that's happened, I'm so grateful to be where I am.
All right. What else? What else has happened lately?
A second father to me. But
Let's
yeah,
see.
she's like my dirty aunt who's up to no good.
We've got the new book in the Godslayer series. That's gonna be interesting. God Killer by Hannah Kaner. Third book of that one's coming there. We got the Fire God. Fire God is coming to burn the entire world to ash. Gotta go fight her now. Alongside the guy who betrayed us. Book 1. Turn me to... Oh no! Okay, I don't understand. Why is this called Alabama Game? That's the Unreal Engine thing. It's called Alabama Game. It crashed. It crashed. It feels like the game is getting more unstable, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Have they released a patch? Last patch was on March 13th. Yeah, they released a patch a week ago. Why is it still getting more unstable? It feels weird. Boletarian Hero. By all means, make me Alucard. I mean, the Boletarian Hero either sacrifices themselves so that they can seal away the old one, or becomes the demon that devours all the souls of the old world. One of the two. And he is separated from his friends Riku and Kairi. His main goal is to find them and return to their home on Destiny Island. Oh, so the madness happens in Kingdom Hearts 2 and onward. Plus all the little mini interim spin-off nonsense things that happen on the side. Where we've got Kingdom Hearts 15 subtitles. Plus 15 subtitles, the game. Alright. Let's see. Where is Yahtzee? Oof. Let me see here. It's this way. So... Is it over in Thirdborn, I guess? Let me see here. Whole saving the world, it was just a role forced on him. Okay. To be fair, I know, like, nothing about Kingdom Hearts other than, like, the memes, essentially. That's basically all I know about it. I've never really played the games, and I've only seen bits and pieces. Mostly stuff that's explaining how batshit crazy it is. Alright. Let us see here. Actually, one of the really cool things that I learned during Dragonheart is that apparently this was actually a big jumping point for CGI. Like, Jurassic Park was really simple compared to Dragonheart. Dragonheart actually had the more impressive effects because the dinosaurs didn't have to talk. And creating a model whose lips can move back in the day was apparently a nightmare. Like, the stuff they were using before this movie meant that every time you wanted to, like, change a model, okay, it took 30 seconds to render the adjustment. So, like, if you slightly moved a lip a little bit up, it took 30 seconds for it to load that change and for you to be able to do anything else. And if you made a mistake, you had to do it all over again. Bring it a little bit down, load. Oh, it's a little too low. Bring it back up, load the whole thing again. And it was just, like, so exhausting, apparently. Kairi returned to the island. Sora is trapped in the worlds between. Riku is trapped in the realm of darkness. Okay. Oil did not want these. Uh-oh. Sapadol is starting to sound a little evil, isn't it? Uh-oh. Val's facial animation was crazy for gaming too. People underestimate facial animation. Yeah, facial animation can make a big difference. People often go on about Skyrim and the blank staring faces of Oblivion, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that actually, because they don't really emote. They just kind of stand there and like stare at you while their mouth moves. And yeah, it's lip synced, but it's not like emoting. And adding emotion, even if they're not doing much more than standing there, as long as their faces are emoting, you can get a lot of stuff. Baldur's Gate had some really good facial animation. I think they did a really good job characterizing and giving the characters a lot of life and animating them well.
Efforts made in blood. They lie to the
Okay, looks like Sapodal might be a little evil.
death nourishes the soul. All things come from the
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We don't need death for things to grow.
spider devours her meat to lay.
Oh dear. So if we free Sapodal, is she gonna like raise the earth? We will eek again. I have a bad feeling Sapodal might be that conversation was probably the closest I've gotten to like feeling Sapodal might be sort of behind the Dream Scourge now. I didn't really want to admit that, but I'm starting to think it might be the cause. That's not good. Okay, Yahtzee was in the city still. I left the city and do other things. No. I'm gonna argue Dragonheart holds pretty well with CJ. Friends Worms 1 or at least 4. Wait, what? I mean, Dragonheart does hold up really well. The animation is, quite frankly, compared to almost everything else in the 90s, frickin' amazing.
Ah, there you are. It's rather rude of you to keep
One of the other things I've watched again a few weeks ago was Tron, like old school Tron. God damn, it's hard to believe that came out in the 80s. I'm just gonna say it, it's hard to believe Tron came out in the 80s. It is really cool looking. I also rewatched War Games, what was it, like 3 weeks ago? That was an experience. Do you want to play a game? Do you want to play a game?
The Circle of Archmagi are the most powerful magical beings in Aoka.
Okay.
Whatever the reason, the fact that she's here at all.
Yes, I'd like to play thermonuclear war. Because chess and checkers are just boring.
She's just brilliant.
Do you believe the Dream Scourge brought him
Is
here?
the largest of the godless ruins.
Hmm.
It's still got its share of secrets.
Oh, man.
There must be something in there of interest to Green. Probably.
Okay.
something powerful.
Okay. Now's our chance to find out.
I knew I liked you, darling. I'll be with you every step of the way. Those steel garrote bastards
Stole all my research.
from the godless. They'll get to the garden first over their dead bodies.
Oh, it's just their dead bodies. Like, no, not my dead body, their dead bodies.
Try believe. The less of us there are, the less likely she'll take notice. You'll need me to get you in the door, so
Okay,
we'll stay
okay.
behind.
Kai, can you hold down the fort?
Promise we'll get into the right amount of trouble.
Perfect.
Good to see you.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
There we go, Kai. Hold down the fort while we're doing this. Okay. So she's a foremost godless expert. She has a lot of magical skill. The grimoire in hand, she can manipulate the very essence of the world around her. Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. She's got some skills. What's she got? So we have two mages, and so we have two mages, a rogue, and there. I guess Giada's sort of a priest because she has like a lot of priesty abilities, but like we can't do that class. Giada is the class we're not allowed to play because that's illegal. Chain of Memory, Sora finds Zoe in Castle Oblivion, where organization tries to control him by using a girl named Namine to manipulate his memories in the end Sora's put to sleep. When Namine undoes the chains of memories wrapping Sora's heart. Ah, good. That explained not a whole lot, actually. Ooh, let's get a missile battery online. Alright. Let's go, everybody. We've got an Archmage to find. And I'll have to do like a bunch of extra side quests sometime later. Adventure awaits. Let's see. Ringgrim's Domain. Northeast. Alright. Okay, cool. We can go at Sharkmouth. Keep in mind, I am doing a simplified version, so I'm excluding some events. I imagine that, yes. I also know that the main villain has, like, 3 different time-displaced doppelgangers of himself. Like, what, he has, like, an old man version, a young version, and then, like, and then it's, like, 3 other versions of himself. Zeahort, or whatever his name is. I saw something where somebody was like, and this is Zeahort, and this is also Zeahort, and this is also Zeahort. Xehanort, not Zeahort. Xehanort. Isakso. Damage over time from healing. Take that, undead. Get healed. I do really, I will say this, I like games where healing the undead does damage to them. I think it's a good mechanic, and more games should implement it. It's a way to make healers not feel entirely useless, and to make, like, cleric classes have specializations. So I like it when there is healing magic, and you can, like, kind of turn it into something that can be mildly useful, essentially, outside of just healing. Like, one of the other things I love, and I haven't seen it that much, is when you have, like, a lot of buff magic, but buffs also turn into debuffs on undead. And then debuffs can turn into, like, buffs, if that makes sense. So you can, like, have a reverse situation. There was something like that with the Necromage perk, where you could, like, turn, you know, use those spells on vampires and stuff like that, but it was mostly used to break the crafting system, because Necromage made everything happen that way, which meant magical effects on you just were generally more potent. Only applies to other games, not the 3 I mentioned. Okay. Oh, man. Skyrim really did make the choice between being a vampire or being a werewolf very obvious. I mean, let's run through it. One of them, in the base game at least, you have no control over the transformation unless you get a specific ring at during one of the Daedric quest lines, which means you also can't use that ring slot. The other one, you get the powers whenever you want. The downside is just that you are, like, disabled regeneration when you're in daylight, and, you know, you can just wait till night for your quests, and also half the stuff is in caves, so it doesn't matter. Plus, regeneration potions and shade are plentiful. And then the vampire just got a DLC that just made them objectively better in every way. Ugh, it's a whole thing. Yeah, damn. At least Oblivion kind of made both situations not that great. Or they made vampires. I can't remember if Oblivion had werewolves or not, or if your player could I don't think you could become a werewolf in Oblivion. I think you could in Morrowind, if I remember correctly. I haven't gone to the Blood Moon DLC, though. Morrowind is a game I desperately want to play more of. I have not finished it yet. I played a lot of it, but I never finished it. And I think I unlike Skyrim, which I've actually finished Skyrim. I've been the main quest line at least 3 times, I think. Yeah. Do you know that in Pathfinder 2 ED, skeletons can be poisoned? No, that's just boring. Enemies don't feel special. Yeah, I like it when enemies have different reactions to things that outside of just elemental types, you know? Like, oh, radiant damage does extra damage to undead. It's like, okay, that's just, you know, anti-undead element as opposed to burning or freezing or shocking element. I like it when spells become multifaceted based on what type of enemy you're fighting, if that makes sense. And it encourages a wider use of the available materials in a game. Now, granted, it can also mean that some things can be less viable against others, which I think is why a lot of developers don't do it, so they don't want to shut down potential build ideas. But, like, I don't know. I feel like it's a really interesting thing you could do that's fairly easy to implement when you actually think about it. Because you already have an AoE hitbox. You're just, like, saying, hey, if this is in hitbox and is type blank, which most games already have things to check, like, you know, enemy types and stuff like that, do this instead. I don't know. Feels fairly simple from my end. You could also do things like make AoE healing affect everyone, not just your allies, which would make AoE healing useful, maybe even really efficient, but maybe single target healing becomes more viable because in a large melee you can't get the AoE heal to just heal your allies. Or you had to mix in debuffs like anti-heal fields before you deploy your AoE healing. Like something to make the healer, if you're going to have somebody who can play like a healer with like allies in the front lines, make their job a bit more proactive, where they're having to do like their own thing. I don't know. Heard that for Pathfinder for balance reasons. Really? For balance reasons. Huh. Oh, right. It's the ice one. Okay. I guess I can kind of see that. Offer this wins at their discretion. Unauthorized use will not be tolerated. Oh, joy. The random levers. Which one will you pull? Pull the lever, Kronk. It's like, which lever? Which lever do we pull? Oh, we can't pull any of these, actually. Never mind. Odd. There must be something else before we can pull them. Balance. Ow. Easy to sell as graphics and open world. Data is you insignificant ones. I guess, but like build variety is something to sell on. You know, people do complain that like certain things aren't in. One of the things that drives me insane actually is when there's clearly the beginnings of an archetype and it's just like kind of casually thrown into the game without any support. I think one of the most actually recent examples of this that pissed me off was Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so there was a game. There are various damage types in Baldur's Gate 3. Now you don't have to be a bunch of equipment that supports every damage type. You don't. You know. However, one damage type is very underrepresented. It's the poison damage type. And if there weren't really any major things for poison, I would be fine. But one of the things that drives me insane is there is like a robe and a hat, if I remember correctly. Either a hat or a boots or something. That's based around being able to do something when poison... No, it's a cloak. There's a cloak and there's a robe that activates on poison damage. And it's implying, like, the thunder boots, or the thunder robe, or the lightning stuff, or the fire stuff, or the ice stuff, that you might be able to make a build out of doing that particular damage type. And then it just, And then it just, like, doesn't. You get no more of them, and the poison type becomes so pointless in the late game that you might as well just not even use it. And it feels like they just kind of forgot about it. I don't know. Something about that ticks me the wrong way. I can't quite explain why. Like, I don't think I'd be as been upset if they just didn't put poison in the game, if that makes sense. Or they didn't just didn't give it any armor. Like, you have some poison spells, but they don't really have many synergies, you know? It's just poison. Whatever. And none of the poison spells are really that great, aside from Cloud Kill, which is already so good that you don't really need the equipment. Like, it doesn't really benefit from the equipment or anything like that. And there are also just, like, plenty of pieces of equipment in Baldur's Gate 3 that felt very gimmicky, but without the supporting gear to make the gimmick work. So they felt like ideas that the developers had, and they left in the game, but they didn't really flesh out entirely. It's odd. One of them might be about to be fixed. One of the ones that always bothered me a little bit was there was rings where if you cast a spell with elemental damage, the next turn your weapon would get like coated in elemental, and it counted cantrips too. The problem was if you were firing a firebolt or most spells from range, you were either a caster who would just rather fire another spell, or B, you weren't in melee range, so you probably couldn't hit them anyway. However, there is going to be Booming... I think, if I remember correctly, Booming Blade is going to be a part of the new update, which will at least kind of make it work, but I'm not sure if Thunder counts. So that's a whole thing. Oh well, we'll see. I don't know. I feel like whenever I run into like an incomplete set, or a set that's supposed to like help make a build viable, but there's only like 2 pieces of it, and it's clearly not meant to actually be used. It's meant to be like equipped as like a thing to use maybe in like 1 or 2 fights and then realize there's no support for this and throw it to the ground. And I'm just like, why'd you even include it? Why'd you even make me think that this was going to be a viable thing I could do in the game? That I could become the Lord of Poison, poisoning you all with different toxins or whatever. Because I actually think there could be some cool stuff to do with poison in Baldur's Gate. There's a bunch of various different weapon coatings that you can coat your weapon in. You can even throw them on the ground, or throw them at enemies, which can create a puddle, which you can then coat your weapon in. So you can like toss it, poison them with that, coat your weapon, and start bashing people. The main problem is also that there's just when it comes to damage as well, you're better off just firing your damage, like way better off. Okay, how do I get into those rooms? Pull the lever, Kronk. Solace Keep sent word for us to abandon our work. Still sacrilegious to do so now after so many deaths. Storeroom key needs to be kept available for anyone who needs it. Remember, 1 mountain, 2 valleys, and another mountain.
The note had a hint. 1 mountain, 2 valleys, 1 mountain.
1 mountain, 2 valleys. So I'm guessing a valley is down. Okay. Oh, there. Wait. Oh my god. You couldn't... Okay. Avowed, we need to have a talk about this. So, when I looked at these, I looked at this lever and decided that these were not interactable. They didn't make this one interactable because the puzzle did not require it to be pulled. So they didn't even make it interactable. The only ones that were interactable were these 3. For some reason. This one was not. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And why was the other one that you couldn't? I don't understand. It's like these 2 and this one were the ones you couldn't interact with, but you couldn't interact with the last one. I'm so confused. Oh. Alright, Avowed's starting to get a little sloppy, not gonna lie. I'm still having fun, but the cracks are starting to show. Characters are suddenly learning about information I haven't told them about, like the garden. We're just, like, assuming everyone knows shit now, and now some of the interactables just aren't interactable for no reason. Oh no. Please don't let this game fall apart. I was actually having a really good time. I'm really hoping this game doesn't get, like, really crash-related as we progress into the end game. That would suck. Hey, interact with the lever. Found a way outside. Cool, cool. Man, oh man. Well, ooh, there's something in there. Any labor needing access to the store must request it to official channels. We can have anyone seek the foreman on duty. Their office is on the 3rd floor. Do the archery skill and several bows, but only a handful of arrows with no way to make more. Oh, wasn't that, not Gothic. It was, I think I actually heard about that. There was a game, it was an RPG where, like, the sun was going out, and everyone had to, like, move underground, and so the gods sent, like, a champion down, and you're essentially, like, reborn, but the champions occasionally got, like, really arrogant, so you got your memories wiped. It's basically, like, humanity and, like, the elves and everyone just, like, fled underground because the sun was growing dim, and the surface was going to be unsustainable for life, right? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, I don't remember what it was called. I watched Mandalore's video on it, and he also mentioned that you just don't even bother with the archery skill. Don't even bother. It's literally just a waste of time. And again, stuff like that frustrates me, because it's like, then why even keep it in the game at a certain point? If you aren't going to even make the archery skill a viable option, it just tricks players into trying to use it, which I think is something your game shouldn't do. You shouldn't punish players because they tried to use a tool that you gave them for a purpose, because it actually doesn't do that purpose. And I get it, maybe you don't want to cut something just because, hey, maybe they'll find a use for a spell or whatever. But at a certain point, if you're doing a game where you're creating builds based on, like, archetypes to an extent, where things are supposed to be synergistic and it has to compete with a bunch of other very, very synergistic things, leaving these, like, individual pieces just creates traps for new players, I find. Like, imagine somebody who played Baldur's Gate, finds the poison robe and the poison cloak, and tries to make a poison build, you know? They get the handful of poison spells that aren't even that good, because they want to play around with poison. And then, like, a few levels in, they're getting their teeth kicked in, and having to use other spells, and they just become a generic fire wizard. It's like, why'd I even bother? I don't know. It's one part of game development that has always slightly rubbed me the wrong way. Because, and it's not something I think I have an entire solution for either. Because at the same time, I don't want them to just trash everything, cut content, deadline, more work, take out, we have to ship now. Exactly. Like, there are deadlines, there are limits, and hell, a lot of these things are cut, might even be cut, the other parts of the set, or the spells, or whatever, might even be cut at the last minute. Like, who knows when it was cut, or how long they had to adjust things for it. It's not something that has a simple solution is my problem. Because I get why it's still there. Maybe it's more effort to cut it, or maybe, hey, we don't want to cut something we spent all this time on. It's not like it hurts the gameplay, generally speaking. It's not like, you know, it's not like the same as leaving some really, really broken item in there and letting it one-shot all the bosses. So I get that temptation. And I'm not really sure what the solution is. Which is frustrating. Because I like to have, like, a pithy comment that I can say, oh, just do this. But it's like, no, it's not that simple. I will say some versions are worse than others. Like, the one with the bow is, from what I understand of the game, from what I saw of Mandalore's video, they probably could have just cut the bow out and just had it as something that enemies do. And it probably wouldn't have changed the game, like, at all. But at the same time, hey, maybe Bowvilles will be really OP even without that many arrows and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, that one could probably even just be fixed by giving you more access to more ammunition. Let's be real. Fires in the mine, documents, scatter sharp, sunworn journal. Trying to get into that hole, but I can't seem to get in there. The foreman's office on the 3rd floor. I went to the 3rd floor looking for him. I've already been up to what I assume was his office with, like, the levers. Oh, my God. Come on. Stop dashing to the... Ooh, what do we have here? Weather being not enough. Never leaving Solence again. Blah, blah. So, it's not worth a damn. Everything sucks. Blah, blah, blah. I guess I'll have to come back for that chest. Oh well. Well. Let's head towards the rest of the game right now. Posted Super Kindred's plot of Kingdom Hearts, COM, 1 COM, and 2 in the live stream chat. Okay. Chain of Memories. Yeah, that's the same. I think that's the same thing you were talking about earlier before you, like, delete the message. Well, we found a big pillar of Adra, so that's good. Sure, let's set up a party camp. Why not? Hey, Yatsuli.
For the camp of an but I suppose this will do for now. As long as you have a
We're camping in the middle of nowhere. Why would we have a bath?
with how overwrought you do.
We're in the middle of, like, fantasy Australia. Why are you expecting a full bath? Is it worth much?
I'm the only buyer you find here, and I already have the job. A lesson for next time. It's
Always worth some haggling.
Unfortunately, it's been quite some time since I've met another and focused on the
Interesting.
topics and I imagine I'd be more knowledgeable on the subject than anyone else you could find.
Okay. Is that how you got that burn, running around old flammable ruins?
I've yet to be burned in a single
I will say, I have never found anything to be quite so disruptive as illusion magic in Skyrim, though. I genuinely think illusion magic, for all the fun it offers, is one of the most broken parts of Skyrim. Not broken necessarily in the way I mean overpowered, although it is kind of overpowered, because if you stay at a low level, it's one of the most powerful types of magic with like 1 or 2 perks. So if you stay like sub-level 5, it can just dominate the game. But the main problem with illusion magic is that in low levels it's really powerful and can allow you to essentially manipulate huge armies of people or bring them on your side. And on high levels, once you get to like level 30 or 40, it literally becomes useless. So it's this magic that's either powerful to the point of, you know, being able to control entire armies, or literally useless depending on where you are in the game. And that is frustrating. Or at the very beginning, it's almost useless because you mostly fight undead, and, or not mostly, but a huge portion of the enemies you fight are undead or automatons, especially in the early Draugr tombs. And until you get a perk, it's not even usable against Draugr. So at the very beginning, it's useless. In the mid-game, and specifically on the lower end of that mid-game, it's extremely useful. And at the high levels, it's literally useless. And it's an entire school of magic you can specialize in. Oh. Gods. But hey, at least it's not like From Software games where you have entire weapons whose entire existence is just to be replaced by another weapon. From Software makes a lot of weapons in their games, and look, a lot of them are there to add flavor, I get it, but some of them are just so useless. Like the entire flail category, for example, in Elden Ring. All the flails are just the worst things ever. Or Dark Souls 2 with like 7 ultra great swords that all are so hard to swing that you might as well not use them. Like, it's already, you already don't have a ton of time to respond. Illusion Magic is easier designed for TTRPGs and computer games, more useful for creative problem solving. It really is. Illusion Magic is one of those things. Like, invisibility, yeah, you could have invisibility powers in games. You can have a frenzy power in a game, too, to an extent. But, like, Illusion Magic is one of those things that in TTRPGs is really based on your creativity, but you can't just do whatever you want. There's a longsword that is literally just the knight's longsword, but worse. Same moveset, same reach, everything. There are a bunch of weapons that are kind of shit in Demon Souls. I mean, most of the shield categories tend to be fairly useless. Anything with less than 100% defense gets just utterly wrecked by the Dark Silver Tracer, the Dark Silver Shield. Because it not only does it have 100% physical, but it also has 100% magic resistance. Yeah, they never did 100% magic resistance, I don't think, default on a shield ever again. In that case, screw that. Yep. The Dark Silver Shield is really stupid because one of the whole thing, it has to role playing, I guess. It's always nice to have options, I guess, but I'd rather those options be viable in their own route. Or foe. Friend or foe? Beat 100 and dark. Alright. Is it camaraderie? Well, at least Sapidol isn't talking about raising the thirdborn to the ground now. That's good. Oh, have any of you ever read the Avatar Kyoshi books? I'm actually really curious. Have any of you read the Avatar Kyoshi books? They're really good. I mean, not like perfect or like 100%, but like not like the best thing I've ever read. But they are really good books. I would actually count them as like part of the good stuff in the Avatar franchise, which is most of the Avatar franchise, not the blue one. The good Avatar franchise. Me read. There are audiobooks as well to listen. I was mostly talking to Nerd Dragon or Dawnseeker, to be fair. Mostly Nerd Dragon. But no, the Avatar Kyoshi books are kind of interesting because I like what they did with like the OP Avatar who just, you know, moved an island off a continent. She actually wasn't originally understood to be the Avatar. In the book starts out with her working as like an attendant for the boy that one of the old Avatar's mentors believes is the new Avatar after the water Avatar gets killed. I forget what his name was. He was the one who stole the love of his life's face. And it's slowly revealed through the first book that he isn't the Avatar because he's having trouble learning the other elements. And then they find out it's Kyoshi. Hell yes, calling yourself Avatar, go lift that island like you Yoda or something like that. And so, like, she starts showing, like, insane mastery of Earth once she gets over some mental issues. And she accidentally, they think she bent one of the other elements. But they're unsure. And I like how, like, the Earth Kingdom it's a pain to find the Avatar because it's so large. And they don't exactly have a centralized way of doing it. They just kind of have to find some guy and hope they find them. But, and they already passed her over in one of the tests earlier on, which was interesting. Oh, we can find ways to strengthen each other and nothing else. Gives you these fire to first do the test. And the teacher of, like, the guy who believed he was the Avatar ends up deciding that he's sick of... He is a very self-interested person who doesn't really seem to care that much about his student. He's kind of an asshole. And so he brings him to his old spirit, who is pissed at Ko because Ko has given humans the expectation they can just go to spirits and ask them questions and bother them all day. So he's like, what the frick do you want? It's like, I want you to tell me which of these people are the Avatar. It's like, fine, but I get to eat the other one. It's like, okay, sure. So he's literally just like, I don't care which one you eat. I just need to know which one's the Avatar so I can actually bring him home. And it turns out to be Koshi. And so the other guy gets left behind to die. Not that Kyoshi wanted him to die. She cared about him. He was her friend. And they think that they are dead now. And everybody's now knows that the Avatar and all the deals and agreements they made under the Avatar's, like, rule, or Avatar's authority were not correct. So Kyoshi has to deal with the fallout of all the treaties that he had negotiated as the Avatar being called into question and having taken this responsibility out of nowhere. She also has to deal with the fact that her, the person she had known her whole life, he was always kind of an asshole, had thrown his old student to the wayside for a worm to eat. But it later revealed that, the guy they thought was the former Avatar actually wasn't dead. He managed to survive and killed the glowworm spirit and ate part of it to gain some of its powers. And so he goes on a murder revenge spree against all his old teachers who had called him useless and degraded him and given all these expectations and responsibilities and then thrown him to the wayside without a second thought. Which, sort of fair, but he also starts blaming other people for it and murdering a lot more people. And so Kyoshi has to put a stop to him, and there's, like, obviously she eventually has to kill him. Very tragic. But it was, like, a really interesting story, and I really, really enjoyed the whole thing. Mostly because it felt different than with Aang, because all the other Avatars we've seen, if you think about it, have always been like, yep, that's the Avatar, we've always known. We figured out you were the Avatar the day you were born. And it's like, this whole thing of questioning who the Avatar is, and then the fallout of all their, responsibilities and the treaties being called into question like that. Well, it was kind of an interesting premise. Because again, every Avatar we've seen so far has been an Avatar who everyone knew was the Avatar. Like, every time we find out anything about the day that an Avatar was, discovered, it's like, yeah, there was no mistaking it. They're either it's either like Korra, where they're automatically bending all the elements, or it's like Aang or the Fire Nation, where they've been keeping a close eye on them for years because they have their own spiritual way. Hell yes, you calling yourself the Avatar. Go lift that island. And I actually kind of liked it a lot. Mostly just that it was, something different and interesting, but it still felt like the world of Avatar. This is still very much the same Earth Kingdom that locked itself away for years and years and years. And ignored the world. And they're having to deal with different problems, not just rehashes of everything else. Like, one of the main issues is a gigantic alliance of old pirate vessels that have sprung up during the years that Karuk was essentially ignoring the world. And they basically become like a pirate nation almost. Like, they have like one of the largest navies in the world because this is before the Fire Nation became super militarized. And so that's like one of the main groups they have to deal with. which is really cool because they're not just like a random nation going rogue or whatever, or spirit problems. Hell, the spirits aren't even really a huge deal aside from the glowworm issue. Kyoshi's mostly having to deal with the political ramifications and all that, and just the general unrest of the Earth Kingdom. Which is, yeah, works very well. I do really wish we had gotten that Avatar, at least like the comic version of the third Avatar thing that they were planning on. I'm not sure if you knew that, but Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra were originally going to be followed up with like a comic book series about a sandbending Avatar, which sounded really, really cool. I'm actually really upset we didn't. We only got like, what was it, a few issues of it or something? Oh. I'm very annoyed. There are like a few panels of it, and then it just kind of stops. So frustrating. So very frustrating.
You die to the trap, only to become a part of it. Morbid,
Oh man.
but clever.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is just one of those things, though, where it's just good, like basically all the way around. I'm one of the people who actually really likes Korra, for example, so I can just say that. I know some people don't like Korra, and it's not perfect or anything. It has problems, but I still think it's like really good by the standards of everything that isn't the original series. Korra's not a perfect show, but it does some things right, most certainly. I mean, Kuvira was a thing, but Zahir and the Red Lotus were probably the best season. Just season 3, holy hell yeah. Amon's whole twist was fine. I don't know. Damon felt a little confused, but he had a presence. He was definitely one of the villains that just really ate the screen time he had. He was a very intimidating, and I mean, a bloodbender is probably one of the few things in the world that can actually fight a fully realized avatar, so he was definitely some kind of, you know, a good threat for the series. Ugh. I don't know. All the things I liked about Zahir, though, is just, like, all the really, really weird benders he brought to the table. That was just so cool. Oh, man. They, short 90% of the co-evolution in Kingdom Hearts come from remix versions of the main games, trying to tie in side games in Kingdom Hearts 3. Ah, I see. So it's all the side games' fault, is what I'm hearing. It's been a week. We're beginning to run low on munitions. So many traps we can arm. Temerity was against us from the beginning. Do nothing. Same conquest. Okay. Oh, got an ability point. Yay! Stat point. Put into intellect. I want to max out intellect because there's an achievement for it. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. Let's see here. I'm not really sure what to do, because I'm not really sure I want bounce, but... No, I can't do that. I don't have enough levels to do next level of frost accumulation. I guess... I could do Blizzard, so I can unlock the full set. KH3 was basically a cash grab for Disney. I mean, even I knew that. One of the things I heard about the Kingdom Hearts 3 was that it literally had the Disney park rides as super attacks. It doesn't get more cash grabby than that. The Disney pirate ship ride is now literally a special attack of the main character. That's just advertising. That is literally just turning your game into an ad. As if Kingdom Hearts wasn't already basically an ad for Disney in general. They had to make it official. Oh, man. No, even I heard about that. You had to... It was basically the only thing everybody was talking about was just how stupid it was. Which must be really sad for the Kingdom Hearts fans that were waiting for some actual, you know, continuation. Always sucks when people decide that rather than continuing the game in all its glory, they're just gonna, you know, cash grab it out. Oh, that's always a disappointment. High code, remember there are more of these in the basement in case you get hurt, blah, blah, blah. My god, there are tripwires like everywhere in here. Jeez. Why would you tripwire your own base? Like inside your own base. Like this is apparently they even said there were extra potions downstairs. This is where they were like hanging out and like living their life, and there are tripwires everywhere. Jeez. Man, oh man. They really didn't want you to come in here, huh? More stuff. Mine. Let's see where to go from here. I love how you can grab the ladder mid-fall. Very nice, very nice. Let's unlatch this. I do still like the way the doors are all actually like properly bolted. It's like, no, we don't have keys. We have an interior bolt. Huh. As much water as we can haul. Bunch of supplies. Alright. Oh, somebody was really camping out here. With like all the frickin' munitions in the world. And a bunch of gears. Okay. Well. Wow, these are like some impressive ancient ruins, I gotta admit. I wasn't expecting the ruin we got to actually be this big. This is like Paradise, but it's a whole like dungeon area equivalent of Paradise. Hidden away in the mountains. This is actually not a bad, this is actually pretty good. One of the things I like about this is, like, unlike a lot of other ruins, I can actually see the remains of a city here. Like, you can see the way the buildings are separated, the roads that used to be here. Like, there was clearly a main road that led out of the city over there, and a main pathway down to what looks like maybe once a market square or something like that. You can even see how the ground, like the pavement there, is still kind of there underneath the dirt as opposed to some of the other spaces. Also, unlike previous games that use Kingdom Hearts lore, Heartless, and Nobody's Great Stories from Disney World's, KH3 is basically just Sora as an NPC in the movie. Ah, I see. Well, they had to advertise Frozen and Toy Story. God, so you know we're still getting more Toy Story from what I've heard? It's like, Disney, let a franchise die already, please. Then again, they're also reviving Lilo and Stitch, so they have no soul. There truly is no God in this world. Otherwise, that Lilo and Stitch live action thing would not be happening. All right, got him. Disney died a long time ago. Well, that's the thing. Disney dies and then they come back briefly and then they die again. That's just a cycle. I know that. Like, Disney was also dead before their renaissance in the 90s. They're gonna die eventually here. Profits are gonna decrease and they're gonna, you know, retool everything, and then they're gonna have another wave of expressing creativity again, and then they're gonna get greedy, and then it's gonna regress, and that's just the way things happen, right? There are periods of funding artists to do things that will be creative and interesting and actually make good stories. And then there's the cash grab phase. And we kind of ricochet backwards between these two over and over again. Why are dragons stinky? Are you calling yourself stinky? I don't understand. So, he sucks, so. Let's go. Got it. Heal me. Evil cannot create, it can only destroy and corrupt what is good. You know, I also find it really funny that, like I know Walt Disney wasn't exactly a great person, or maybe he was, I don't know. But, like, I do find it funny that for a man who lost his creation because he worked for a company and didn't own it anymore, Disney loves hiring people to make stuff for them and then owning the rights forever. But we've already discussed copyright law before and how it is stupid beyond belief. I do, at least. I bathe regularly, so I don't know about you. To be fair, I don't have a choice. I have a really dry scalp, so if I'm not regularly taking showers, it gets flaky, which is not great. Taking beloved IPs and destroying them. Here's the thing. I think not all of them did, but the vast majority, yes. If I had to choose any that are good, Maleficent and Pete's Dragon were pretty good. Pete's Dragon was a decent remake that actually did something different because it had a slightly different plot than the original. It was like a wild child living in the woods. It's basically a dragon Tarzan with a hint of imagination. And Maleficent tended just used the formula and the characters to tell a slightly different perspective on the story, to do its own thing. So basically what I'm saying is the remakes are terrible. It's only the live action adaptations that actually take the work and do something interesting with it that are even remotely justifiable. And I can only think of two of them. I might be missing one, but I can only think of two off the top of my head. All of these, like, let's recreate beautiful 2D animation in live action. You know what the worst part is? Lilo and Stitch has so much, like, actual amazing love behind it. And there's so many cool things about the animation. Fun fact, by the way. Do you know what they did to make, So, Lilo and Stitch was created on, like, a super tight budget. Because they didn't have a lot of money. And the animation looks amazing, by the way. Still does. It looks great. But this could get messy.
You're a good person, stranger. Better than me.
Okay.
And me what?
And they actually had to use some weird tricks to make the animation look as good as they did. There's the scene where Lilo is running across the beach. I remember because I looked.
You're just taking care of the remains.
And there's, if you look closely, there's only like 2 people moving. Everyone else is actually a still frame. But they did so in a way that made it look like there's more motion than there is. You can look up the clip yourself and watch it. I forget the exact way it works, but it's really cool if you actually watch through it. There's like there's one lady who's like picking something up, and there's one guy with a frisbee in the background. But the way the shot moves makes you feel like there's more motion, like everyone else is actually moving. The How to Train Your Dragon remake is screwed. I mean, even if it is just a shot-for-shot remake that does everything right, it'll still not be as good as the original, so I don't see the freaking point. Like, at worst, it's a bad imitation of the original. I mean, at best, it's a bad imitation of the original. At worst, it's an abomination. There's no success there. There's no success to be found in this. Ugh. Oh, do you know the other thing that happened in the Lilo and Stitch development that's actually way more hilarious? So, okay, this might be a kind of a dark joke, but, so, do you know the scene where they're flying between the mountains at the very end of the movie, where they get, like, Jumba's ship and they're flying it between the mountains? Originally, they were going to be flying it between the tall office buildings in downtown, like, Honolulu or something. But a plane narrowly dodging skyscrapers or tall office buildings, ended up being a thing they couldn't do because, like, a year, or it was like, I think it was like a few months before the release of the movie, or during development at some point, I don't know the exact time on this because I had to look up the dates, but at some point in the movie, after they had already, like, fully animated the scene for the most part, like, you can watch the deleted scene, 9/11 happened. And suddenly, that scene was not okay to show. So they had to change it to mountains. You can look it up. It's like fully animated, I think, if I remember correctly. And they just had to like redo the backgrounds as mountains. Oh. I actually didn't even know that until I like saw it on a special feature on the disc. It was one of those moments of like, oh. fight with Stark hanging on the dragon is static with the background moving. Yeah, there are loads of really cool tricks animators use to get the most out of a limited budget. It's really cool. Or get the most out of, like, limited frames. Oh, man, I need to practice more. I need to continue my animation practice, but I'm just so freaking busy with everything else. I am going to make that... I'm going to get that flying dragon thing, though, for an intro soon. Some point. And I also do 3D models, and oh my god, they have so many freaking hobbies. Okay, after this fight, I'm probably gonna, like, find a place to stop. We're getting near the stopping point. Also, frost magic is just really good in this game. Like, unless you're fighting ghosts, you can just freeze people in place, which is really nice. It's a change from Skyrim, where frost magic was bad because half the people who were there were Nords, and they were resistant to it. I was thinking the same thing about Godzilla in Japan. Welcoming club. Gods. Dragon in Freerin is entirely 2D too, which makes it one of the most nightmarish things to animate. Oh my gods, yeah. Like, I can barely draw things. I've just spent a lot of time drawing things in perspective. So, I'm just imagining how many, like, the whole scenes where you have to, like, turn things around must just be turning something, the perspective, like, turning the camera to rotate around something must just be so intensive to draw. Gods, I just can't even imagine.
We were... There was an earthquake, and Amiwa, she started screaming. You should go. All of you. No! No! I don't want... I can't be responsible.
Get...
If it gets you too.
I think I might be immune to it.
Please.
Probably, because I'm a god like a...
The idea that they're not wanted here. Let's come back later.
Okay, okay. We're not wanted here. We're not wanted here. Freerin is an amazing show, though. One of the best anime in years. Solo Leveling is also fun, but it's like... I don't know. I saw the preview for Season 2 in theaters. With, like, the first 2 episodes with the Snow Elves. It's still interesting, but, like, I feel like the protagonist is starting to get... What is it, like, anime protagonist syndrome? Where they're, like, effortlessly badass and emotionally dead and stoic all the time. And I'm just like, I liked him a bit more when he was, like, barely scraping by every fight, you know? It's not even that he's, like, too OP, because he was already pretty powerful. But he feels, like, too in control, I guess is the words I would probably use. Especially during the Snow Elf fight to an extent. I guess it was meant to show off his new and improved self or whatever, but still. Then again, it is how he becomes, like, the strongest human being on the planet, so who knows. Seriously, Freerin was amazing, as was Bocchi the Rock. I haven't seen Bocchi the Rock, I don't think. What was one of the other anime that I really enjoyed this past season? Oh god, you know what was eternally on my catch-up list is Dr. Stone. I saw the first season of Dr. Stone all through the first season when it first released. And then I just never watched the second season or the third season. And I've been meaning to get back into it, but as I've said multiple times now, my list of catch-up stuff is just so long that I don't even know where to begin. And so it's been perpetually being kicked back to the line. It's like some of the most fun edutainment kind of thing I've ever seen. Like, from what I've seen of it. I'm not sure if it gets really, really bad in the next 2 seasons. But from what I remember of it, it was just like some of the best, like, pseudo-educational storytelling ever. This is why I didn't watch it. It's a pure power fantasy, and you can't expect much depth from the main character. I mean, like, he has more depth than most power fantasies. There's actually a good video by Mother's Basement on it. He's not a bad example. It's not a bad show. It's just relying mostly on style rather than substance. He has some depth. Like, he isn't doing this because he wants to save people. He's doing this because he wants to cure his mother's disease. That's also the other problem I have, though, is that he recently cured his mom of the disease. And I'm just like, wait, but this is his driving motivation. Like, the reason he's choosing to get stronger is because he wants to save his mother, which is actually, like, yeah, I prefer it because it's not just I'm gonna be the best because I have to survive and I'm gonna, ooh, look at me, I'm so edgy. He's trying to maintain his life, you know. That's why he hasn't revealed himself as the most powerful. Like, him not wanting everyone to know that about his power level makes sense in this, unlike a lot of other isekai power fantasies, because he doesn't want to be a famous S-rank hunter. He wants to get enough money to make sure his family lives comfortably, and then he wants to cure his mom of that disease with the elixir of life, and that's it. Those are his goals. But, like, well, you can't just end the power fantasy early, can you? It's like, yeah, but why'd they give him the elixir of life then? Like, come on. Apparently his dad is back from another realm and has plot information, so maybe he's gonna get drawn in there because family stuff. But, like, I'm not sure if that's entirely, I'm not sure if that's gonna do it. The reason it worked before is because he had an understandable motivation, and it also made sense as to why he didn't want everyone to know how powerful he is. But then he cured his mom, and now everyone knows how powerful he is because he had to save a bunch of people. Because he is, like, you know, not gonna let everybody die. And it's like, the whole thing just feels a bit like they destroyed their premise or their status quo in a way that doesn't really lend itself towards building a better story. It just now feels like it's heading in the same direction that all the other power fantasies head in, which is not great. I'm going to hold out and see where it goes from there, because it does have some good animation, like amazing fight animation. I love it. And it looks good, and it has a good, you know, bit of action, bit of fun. At the bare minimum, it's the kind of action show you can kind of just turn your brain off and enjoy. But it had a bit more promise than that, and I'd heard that it was going to get really, really good. But then it also just copied the Chimera Arc ants. Look, the ants they're fighting might as well be the Chimera ants from Hunter x Hunter. I'm sorry. It's just the Chimera ants from Hunter x Hunter. Like, the entire thing just felt like that arc. And if we start getting new ants with new personalities soon, I'm gonna blow a gasket. They killed the queen, but I'm still wondering if maybe there's somehow another ant that's gonna lay eggs, and it's not quite over yet, because the whole thing just reeks of the Hunter x Hunter Chimera ant arc. It's so. I don't usually call this copy pasting, but this is kind of copy pasting, just a little.
And the perfect place to set up shop if you're an archmage.
Arisen skeleton chanter. Alright. Or they could just extend the story. It's not that difficult. Yeah. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe they will catch my attention with something else. Maybe I'm being too harsh on it too early. And you know what? At the very least, it has a better supporting cast than most of the trash versions of it. So at the very least, it's a power fantasy we can all have fun with. Alright.
This is it.
Ringrim is...
Ringgrim was definitely
What gave it away?
Oh.
The tableau of frozen corpses? The Archmage of Terror is many things, but subtle is not one of them.
Yes, but look at them. The artistry is sublime.
Okay.
Can you imagine having enough finesse to make
You are more generous to me. I lost most faith in recent anime. I mean, there's still good stuff coming out.
We didn't come across this by accident. The
Well, what was one of the
Archmage is
best,
trying
better
to
things I've seen actually recently?
my dad.
Let's think here.
very
I mean,
clever.
Blue Exorcist is a continuation of something from a long time ago, so I can't count that, even though I really do like Blue Exorcist, and I like the characters and voice actors a lot. I fell off Black Clover. Kaiju number 8 was good. I think we talked about that, though. I'm not sure you enjoyed it. Plus that, it hasn't gotten into season yet, so not that recent. Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. Like, so good.
Probably can. All spells have a counter. You just have to know.
Kaiju number 8, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer is still going, we have Frieren, My Hero Academia is about to finish up, so that's, you know, still there. Fire Force is still going, that time I got reincarnated as a slime is still going. Trying to think of other recent stuff, but like, you do have a point. Those last two things I really enjoyed were most of the stuff I really like right now, though, is just continuations of stuff that already came out. Like, I can't think of a good new thing, aside from Kaiju number 8 that's come out within the last year. Was Kaiju 8 last year or the year before?
Especially with you around.
Can't remember. One Piece is still going strong. I'm actually really looking forward to the continuation of One Piece. I haven't actually read the manga, so don't tell me. Alright, I think this is a good stopping point, though. Or, yeah, this should be a good stopping point, I think. Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't know. During once you spot typical anime trope. What typical anime trope? I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it has some tropes, but it's not the most tropey anime out there. It actively subverts a lot of tropes, usually by murdering them with a freaking in horrifyingly grotesque ways, but still. Ringham's trying to scare us off. You don't think he caught the Dream Scourge, do you? Because an Archmage that can do all of this, catching the Dream Scourge, would be very, very bad. I think after we talk with Rear Grim, I'm going to go ahead and head off for the night. But I do want to try and talk to him if we can. Unless he's, like, really far. Are illusions really so powerful? Ooh, cool. Not most, but I still can't find anything special about Jujutsu. What do you mean? The animation is fire. It subverts a lot of general tropes about, like, Demon Within and stuff like that. With one of the things I like about it is that, from what we've seen, Susanoo is, like, really that, or the demon side of Yuji is really that OP. Like, holy shit. Also, it basically blew up its entire, like, status quo in an instant midway through its, like, 3rd season. It sealed away Goto and then released, and essentially, basically conjured a new age of spirits, which is probably going to up in the entire status quo. Like, that's a lot. Okay. Till I tell this tale. Okay. We have to listen to a story. Fun. Let's snoop around. Songs of ancient magic. Jin ends up being anyone who gets backstory dies. I mean, Gojo didn't die. He got sealed away. And I have heard from some people that he's going to come back. You know what? I'm going to let the game go ahead and finish right here because it just crashed. Yeah, this seems like a good spot to go. No, I want to know what... oh, man. That is one criticism I've heard. So many animes that already that I had expectation that needs to be met. Yeah, I still think Jujutsu Kaisen is really good. Mostly in the way that it doesn't always do what you expect it to. And even once I stopped expecting certain things, I still got tripped up in a way that Attack on Titan didn't always do. Because it manages that good balance of making you hope the characters will win, even though they lose so often. I've never watched Jujutsu Kaisen. Watch Jujutsu Kaisen, seriously, it's so good. At the very least, at the bare minimum, watch it for the animation. Like, holy shit. Its animation is breathtaking. Like, absolutely, utterly gorgeous. Also, the only reason they even won most of their fights was because of Gojo, and Gojo is now out of the picture. That's gonna really stake up the status quo even more, because the few fights they have won are mostly a result of him. He's also generally been keeping the world in check since he was born. Because he's so overpowered, it's not even funny. Anyhow, this is about it for tonight. I guess I will see you guys all on Tuesday. We can think of any other anime that have come out recently in the meantime. And I hope to get that Dragonheart review out before we see each other again. So I look forward to your opinions on all of that. So, yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.